I think about poker as a game of experience, skill, wisdom, and luck. And I would say for my life of faith, it's all about that same thing, only I would probably switch out luck with providence. I'm Rose Madrid Sweatman, writing a book called The Poker Pastor. I grew up in a card-playing house. My parents had poker parties every Friday night, or they rotated with their friends. We played pinochle, we played poker, we played gin rummy, you name it. We played cards growing up. So learned to play poker as a child. So my daughter Nicole, who bartends at the pub, she knows that because she grew up in a card-playing house. So one Monday night in the fall of 2009, she phoned me, said, "What are you doing? You should come to the pub and play poker." And I'd only played in home games. I was like, no way, I'm not coming to the pub to play poker. And she said, "No, Mom, you should come. The guys want you to come. They want to talk to you about Jesus." I said, "I'm not coming to the pub, listening to a bunch of inebriated guys make fun of Jesus." And honestly, probably internally, I was more afraid they would make fun of me because I think these days, knowing that you're a Christian and you're a pastor is, some people treat you with great suspicion and some people even with disdain. And so I kind of didn't really want people to know that. But I called my husband. He said, "Why wouldn't you go? Your daughter is inviting you into her world. Just go and see what it's like." So I literally went to the pub that night, played in the tournament, won it, had immediate credibility with the guys, and have been playing ever since. Actually, my daughter, when I was discussing the concept with her about this book, she's like, "Mom, the people that you play poker with, they know you're a pastor, but they know you at the poker table. People in your church know you as their pastor, and they also know that you play poker." So there's a part of this book that's bringing together those two parts of my life and telling that story of how it's integrated. And I say this in the introduction of my book, that every Sunday I stand at the communion table and invite people. It's an open table, anyone, to come and participate in the elements, the bread and the wine, and remember Jesus. And then the flip side of my life is every Monday night I'm invited to the poker table where there's chips and cards, and I find Jesus at the poker table in the people that I meet there. I've officiated 3 weddings now from couples that I met playing poker. And there's also some stories about people that I play poker with that end up are part of my congregation now, and some of the things that they've gone through. And so that sort of journey too, of being with people in really sacred moments in their life at the poker table. And so I think there's a story to tell for me, being in a sort of unique situation. I find myself in both situations often being the only woman at the table. I always want to start the chapters with telling some sort of story of being in a tournament, decisions that were made, how maybe I got into the tournament, how it ended up, and then morph that into a story from my life that has something to do with faith. Went to the World Series of Poker this year and played in the ladies' event. Brutally busted out 40 minutes into the event, brutally. And the thing was, I was in with the right cards, I had the best hand, and it was one of those things. The river came, and it was ace-king against ace-queen, the river was a queen. When you play the cards you were dealt completely correct, and you still lose, what happens then? We lost a son to cancer 2 years ago. He was in great health. And so it's like, what happens when you do everything right and you still lose someone to cancer? What happens when you do everything right and your spouse walks out? But so that's sort of the concept of the book, is to tell the stories of experiencing at the poker table and then how that is comparable to real life situations and what then. Some of the other chapters, being in a tournament at a poker room in Seattle, getting down to my last chip, like literally the last chip, and ended coming back and winning that tournament. So that will morph into a story of when you think you have no more options and you're done, and somehow something changes. The resilience of having a life of faith when you really do hold on to faith and hope, and sometimes it does work out. I'm coming after you.
With 3,000 chips?
Ah, look at you! Oh!
Oh!
Actually, I think I have
43.
4. I have 42.
Oh, 42. Sorry, I
It's
miscounted.
a lucky number for me. On one side, I want my sort of Christian church people to understand, outside of the four walls of the church, that the presence of God, Spirit, Divine, whatever you want to call it, for me is Jesus. Whatever people think about their higher being is everywhere. And I think for my poker friends that might not ascribe to any spirituality, I hope that this book inspires them to explore a life of faith, explore authentic spirituality. That's sort of the big idea for the book. So there's this part of poker that is about adapting to the play at the table, depending on who you're playing with. And so I'm going to use that and stories around that as an illustration of, as a pastor of a Christian church, having a daughter come out as gay. And realizing in that moment, no matter what I believed theologically about that situation, I needed to adapt to the play of what was going on in my own family, and made the decision that I was going to love my daughter no matter what anybody thought about that.
We're having a hug?
We're having a hug at the bar. This is my daughter, Nicole, the one that invited me to poker at the pub.